So, working, going to school, and having a family is a lot to juggle. I find myself having to rearrange schedules and plan tasks accordingly, and prioritize is a big part of what we have to do. One thing that has been really helpful to me is that a lot of my assignments in this program have been very applicable to professional life. So, things like having to write a resume or looking at professional companies that I will need to know someday, and then this assignment where we needed to interview people in the field of our interest have been very enriching because there are things that I have wanted to do anyway and then am forced to do them. So I have an interest in the health and wellness coaching field. My present work involves a lot of coaching. I am a breastfeeding peer counselor for the WIC program, and doing that work, I work with moms who are pregnant or just had babies, and I'm coaching them through their goals and what they want to attain with feeding their children. So this has led me to have an interest in reaching a wider scope of women. My scope now, to expand it, would be that I want to help women in other stages of life reach their health goals. So in this project, I hoped to learn what kind of training or certifications would be necessary to be a health coach. I wanted to learn what a specific company called Vera Whole Health coaches do on a day-to-day basis. What my two interviewees shared with me really did answer those questions, and they gave me a good understanding of what they do as health coaches and what some routes to take to become a health coach. Some things they shared with me did surprise me, but mostly I was intrigued by the job and attracted to it all the more. So both of my interviewees gave pretty similar explanations of their job. They work with clients at a healthcare facility who are given an incentive by their employers to meet with a health coach once a year. So, of course, given a $200 incentive would kind of motivate you to want to schedule a meeting with a health coach. So they do have a busy schedule. And then after those clients meet with them initially, they can sign up for health coaching on a regular basis. Both said that one of the hardest things is being restricted in their scope to coaching only and not offering health education and other, maybe diet-related recommendations. So Vera Whole Health keeps them pretty strictly in the coaching sphere as opposed to educating. This was a surprise to me, as I would assume a health coach would also be offering education, but it didn't detract me from the position. The Vera Whole Health Coach is part of a team, and the other team members are responsible for offering, that piece, the education and recommendations. After these interviews, I have a much better understanding of the job. I recognize what further coaching training would be necessary to get a job like that. I feel like I don't need to worry as much about needing to know more specifics about health conditions, whereas, that's not really part of what they do. I mean, obviously, a general idea is good. I also feel like maybe personal training experience would not be necessary. Although both of my interviewees did have that in their background, it doesn't seem like it's necessary for what they do in their present role. The interview process was intimidating, I must admit. I was nervous about the technical aspect of it, if my phone was going to record, if it was going to catch all that she was saying, the other person was saying. Because of my personality, I tend to give a lot of verbal cues when I'm listening, like, oh, I see. But over the phone, it seemed distracting to the speaker when I did that, and at times it almost interrupted them, and there was kind of an awkward pause. So that was different. Whereas in person, that doesn't tend to happen because you're reading, the whole picture. I did find that having follow-up questions was really important and useful. Although I didn't have to use all of them, having them there was helpful and kept the conversation flowing and kept things staying on track. So the age and experience of both my interviewees was vastly different, and that showed up in the interview, which I thought was kind of interesting. So one of my interviewees was in her 50s, and she has a lot of experience in the health field, many years of experience. And then the other was just out of college, and this was her first, real professional job, and she had kind of limited experience. So having that difference in experience, my first interviewee had lots to talk about, kept the conversation going really well, and I learned a ton from her. Whereas the second one also had great information, was a really kind person, but there were a few awkward moments where I needed to kind of keep things going. So just kind of that experience from them, really, it was a dynamic interview. I do feel like face-to-face interviews would work better. You feel more connected with the person. You're able to read their body language, and they are able to read yours as well. And then there's those less awkward interruptions with the verbal cues. But my most important takeaways were that both speakers were really easy to talk to, and I was really grateful for that. I'm very interested in what they do for work, and I even more so now. So the job of a health coach really does have a lot of similarities to what I do. I was able to identify that through these interviews, and that was encouraging to me. And then a health coach really should be board certified, and I did not know that before, and that has really helped me kind of figure out what course of action I need to take. I wish I would have asked more about job flexibility, whereas they talked about full-time work. I'd like to know if in their field or in their position there's any options for part-time or some work at home and some work in the office. And then, of course, the question of what they get paid, I didn't ask, although I was interested to know. And maybe next time, if I could find a way to bring that up in a tactful and, not weird way, it would be good, because I haven't really been able to pin that down. So it was an extremely practical assignment. I was really happy that we had to do this. I've now made 2 connections that I can network with in the future, and they both mentioned that as a possibility. I've learned the ins and outs of the job that I'm interested in, and I feel like I have realistic expectations of this career now. I feel better prepared for an interview if I should get one someday, and then just having the practice of speaking with people you don't know was great. So I feel inspired to learn more about the coaching technique and behavior change as a result. Thanks.